Hey guys, it is March 26, 2025, and I hope everybody's been having a wonderful day so far today. It is another beautiful day here in South Carolina. I'm not exactly sure what the temperature is out here right now, but I would imagine it's about 75 degrees. It's just beautiful, beautiful weather. A couple clouds in the sky, but it's really blue again, and I've had a nice breeze today blowing through. Last night I walked out here. I can't remember what in the world I walked out. I think it was taking the trash out or something. But when I walked out here last night, I just sat down here at this table and was just listening to the wind blow through the trees. It was blowing through the pine needles. It's just such a peaceful sound to listen to. And when I walked out here just a few minutes ago and it was doing just that, I had to just pause and just listen to it. And I don't know, it just really brought me a bunch of peace listening to that sound. But anyway, I'm talking about nonsense right now. What I wanted to talk about today is something just a little bit different than, the type of video that I've been discussing here the past couple of days, which, have been like more motivational and stuff like that. And I figured today would be a good day to kind of discuss the health things that come along with this. And what I wanted to talk about today is when I started to notice that my health was getting compromised because of my consumption, and like what happened with me. What did I start to notice? So let's go ahead and hop right into that. So like I said, I wanted to talk about, what I went through, what I experienced when I started to notice that my health was beginning to become compromised because of my consumption. And I would have to say that one of the very first things that I noticed, I knew there was an issue. And I've spoken about these things here on the channel a whole bunch of times, but there's 430 videos at this point, and you'd have to scroll through and watch a whole bunch of different videos. And I don't have my videos categorized, which is something that I need to do here soon, so that people have an easier way to get to the different videos and the topics that are listed. But like I said, I think one of the first things that I noticed when I realized that something was really wrong was I started having a pain in my liver, and like a really sharp pain in my liver. And then on top of it, I had this constant feeling in like this dull pain in my liver all the time. All the time I would feel that feeling. And I've spoken about this as well, but if I laid down in my bed, and just laid flat, and I put my hand on my left side right underneath my rib cage, and I put my hand on my right side right underneath my rib cage, and I would push down on both sides. The left hand side I could push down. I could push down, get my hand up underneath my rib cage, but my right side I could not do that. My liver was so swollen that I couldn't even push down on it. It was like pushing up, like it was hard on the right hand side and protruding down past my rib cage. So like there was an area, I don't know, maybe three inches down below my liver that was just, below my rib cage, it was just hard. That whole area was just hard. And I knew like something's wrong, but I was afraid to go to see a doctor. I didn't want to go hear the news. I didn't want a doctor to tell me, well, what you need to do is stop drinking. And, that was the last thing I wanted to hear. And I was just afraid. I was afraid to hear bad news. I always had this idea that I'd rather not know about it. I used to tell people that all the time. If I have some kind of chronic disease, I'd rather not know. I'd rather just end up in the hospital and then that be it. And that's what ended up happening to me. But I didn't say that's it. I held on and kept fighting, which is not what I thought that I would do if I ended up in that situation. I thought that I would just give up. That's what I always thought, that was my plan. But like I said, I had this pain in my right-hand side right underneath my rib cage all the time. It was constant. It never went away. I felt that feeling in my right side all the time. It was like I could just feel my liver was there. It was like it was heavy. I had this like heavy feeling on my right-hand side, right where my rib cage is, all day long. From the time I woke up in the morning until the time I went to sleep at night, I had this constant dull pain in my liver. And sometimes I'd get really sharp pains, and it would frighten me. And I've spoken about this before, only maybe 2 times maybe. something like that. All right, I had to stop there for a second because my insurance company was calling me. I've been on the phone with them all morning, letting them know what's going to be happening with, the other hospital that I'm going to be trying to get into and everything. And they are aware now. So they know exactly what hospital I'm trying to get into and everything. So hopefully, since I've been speaking with my nurse case manager, with my insurance company, they know everything that's going on. I spoke to another one of the higher ups in the company this morning. Hopefully, this will all get expedited. And I had to change my appointment from, I was supposed to go tomorrow at 1 o'clock. But I was going to see another doctor that isn't my actual doctor. So we were able to get it in so I could see my doctor on Friday. So I'm going at 3 o'clock on Friday now to go see my actual doctor instead of another doctor there. I just prefer to see my doctor at the GI office. So I'll be going Friday afternoon at 3. So I'll be letting you guys know on Friday what I find out. But from what I understand at this point, it looks like everything's moving in the right direction. And like I said, my insurance company is aware of what hospital I'm going to. And they already know about the pre-authorization and everything. So she just called and said that they're on the lookout for it. They're going to be waiting, and as soon as that pre-authorization comes through, they're going to send it right up to the top so I can get approved to get this done. And I was on the phone with my insurance company for quite some time today. I was letting her know, that I've expired all of the resources here in South Carolina at this point. I've got to go to another hospital, another state, and I'm not just going to settle for whatever hospital. It's got to be somewhere that specializes in the kind of cases that I have myself. And the hospital I'm going to, I'll disclose that with you guys as soon as I know for 100% sure. I just don't want to jinx it, but I'll let you guys know as soon as I know 100% sure what's going to happen with that. But as far as it looks at this moment, it looks like it's going to happen. But anyway, back to what I was saying before I stopped the video, that I said that I've talked about this a couple times on here, but maybe twice. And one time I mentioned this, and I had a couple people come on and say I've had that happen as well. And what happened is a very strange thing. I would get I would feel my liver like it would spasm sometimes, and it would scare me. Like I could feel my liver like jump inside of me. It would it's so hard to explain. The only way I can explain it is my liver would like spasm. I could feel it moving inside of me sometimes, like it would like jerk or something. And then another thing that I used to get a lot, and I've spoken with people, especially people who have liver disease, who've experienced this as well, but this pain right here in the right shoulder. I would get this pain. It would like somebody grabbed me by the shoulder and like pinched. If you've ever had somebody grab your shoulder right there, right in this area, and get their fingers into this little area and then squeeze down right there, it used to feel like that. I used to get that pain in my shoulder quite often, and it would make me stop what I was doing when I would get that pain in my shoulder. Whatever it was I was doing, I would have to stop. I would grab my shoulder and I would just lean over, and I'm like, I never understood what that was, but after speaking with a whole bunch of other people that have dealt with the same thing that I have, they had that same feeling. If you've experienced any of these symptoms that I'm talking about, or multiple of the symptoms, it's your life, and you're free to do whatever you would like to do. But if you're experiencing stuff like this, it might be a great idea to go speak with a doctor, and not let it get too far like I did. You just don't want to let it go as far as I did. I just kept turning a blind eye. I put the blinders on, and like I said, I always had this idea of what I'd rather not know. I'll just wait, and when it hits the fan, and I'll deal with it at that moment. Now I really wish that I had taken the time to go see a doctor and dealt with this prior, because it'd probably be a lot more of an easier process. But either way, like I said, I would get this dull pain in my liver all the time, sharp pains in my liver that would just happen out of nowhere. My liver would like spasm on me sometimes. I'd get these pains right here, and it's my right shoulder where I used to get the pain, and it would like cut through this area, and just like it was like my shoulder, like that area like cramped up really bad. But I think that's attributed to your liver as well. So I would have those issues. I've spoken about this, but my stomach was always a wreck. I had diarrhea all the time, every single day, every day. And then there were a couple times that I went to the restroom and I looked down in the toilet and there was blood in the toilet, and I didn't do anything about it. I just let it. But I always thought that I had hemorrhoids or something. That's why that was happening, because I spent a lot of time on the toilet, and I just thought that, well, it must be because, I'm sitting on the toilet for as long as I am, and that wasn't the case. And then here come the pancreatic problems. And I had problems with my pancreas for years and had no idea what I was dealing with. And I didn't realize what was going on until I went to the hospital and got diagnosed with pancreatitis for the first time. I used to drink in my early 30s. I got really hung up on drinking tequila for some reason. I did it for, I don't know, about a year. I was drinking a lot of tequila. And there was a period of time, it was around the spring of that year, and I don't remember exactly what year this was, maybe 2013, 14, somewhere around there. Anyway, I was, like I said, drinking tequila a whole bunch, and we had an excess of strawberries around our house that had been given to us because there's a big strawberry farm right around where we live, and I got hung up on making these strawberry margaritas, and I put a whole bunch of simple syrup and stuff like that in it. And every single time that I would get wasted drinking those strawberry margaritas, I started getting this pain in my left hand side the next morning. Like I said, there was a ton of sugar in these drinks I was drinking, not including the fruit and everything else like that, and the liquor and the sweet and sour or the margarita mix. But I would drink these strawberry margaritas while there's sugar in it, wake up the next morning, and I would have these excruciating pains in my left-hand side right underneath my rib cage. And all day long, I would be grabbing at my left side and pushing in on my stomach. I didn't quite understand what was going on. And looking back now, it was my pancreas was acting up. I was overloading my pancreas with sugar, and I probably had diabetes at that point in time too. I just didn't realize it. But I started having problems with my pancreas. And before I get into the pancreatic issues, I want to throw this in as well. I had gone to the doctor because I thought that I had broken my foot. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I couldn't walk on it. I couldn't think of any time that I'd hurt my foot, but it felt like it was broken. I mean, if a bed sheet touched my foot, it hurt. And this went on for weeks. So finally I got to the point, and this isn't the first time this has happened either. It's happened multiple times. It would happen, it would go away. So eventually I decided, okay, I've got to go see a doctor about this. This pain won't go away. My foot's always hurting. This keeps happening. My foot would get inflamed. It would be inflamed for a month. It would turn beet red. And then it would always be in my big toe too, where it would get really swollen and so sensitive. Like I said, if a bed sheet touched my toe, it would make me jump out of my skin. It hurt so bad. I had to walk around with a boot on my foot. I couldn't wear shoes, and I'm working in the kitchen, as a chef, running around. You never stop moving as a chef. And, here I am, I can barely walk. I've got a boot on my foot. And finally, like I said, I went to the doctor because I'm like, I got to get this addressed. I finally go to the doctor. The doctor takes a look at my foot, does an x-ray, says your foot's completely fine. And then he tells me we're going to take some blood and run a test. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't understand what that has to do with anything, but okay, sure. They take some blood, and then the doctor comes in the room and asks me, do you drink? And I said, well, yeah, I do. And this doctor that I want to go see is a family friend as well. He knows my mom really well. I've known him since we've lived here. I've known the guy for a long time. Anyway, so this is a little bit more of a doctor-patient relationship. We're actually kind of friends a little bit as well. So I felt a little bit more comfortable talking with him, but I did not disclose the exact amount of alcohol that I was drinking. I just told him that I drink, but, not that much. I have a couple drinks here and there. And he said, oh yeah, I have a couple drinks too, and yada, yada, yada. And then he starts going into my uric acid levels in my body have been elevated. And the problem that I'm experiencing is not that I have a broken foot. The problem that I'm having is that I have gout. And I'm trying to hold this fan right here, this umbrella from blowing over. Just a few minutes ago, I was filming and the wind blew and it blew the camera over and everything. But anyway, he, like I said, he ran my blood and told me my uric acid levels in my body were elevated and that what I was dealing with was gout. He prescribed me prednisone, I think is what it was, steroid. I took that and magically it just went right away. Well, this went on for years. And my doctor also told me after a couple of visits that he could place me on a medication that can reduce my uric acid levels in my body, but it has a lot of bad side effects. And I told him I wasn't interested in taking that. And I had done a lot of research and looked into the things that cause gout, and one of them was alcohol, smoking cigarettes, eating a lot of beef, a lot of shellfish, there's mushrooms, things that I did eat a lot of. I used to eat a ton of mushrooms back in the day too. So I tried cutting back on some of that, but of course not my alcohol, because, God forbid I give that up. And the cigarettes as well, I wasn't giving those up either, but I'll knock out the mushrooms and the shellfish and the beef and all that, but absolutely not my booze. But what ended up happening is just about every 2 to 3 months it had gotten to the point too where I didn't even have to go see my doctor anymore. All I had to do was just call up there and tell them I've got gout again. They would call me in a prescription for methylprednisone. I would get the little blister pack. You take like 12 pills first day, then it's like 10 the next, yada yada, and the gout would go away. So I would just live my life. Every time it flared up, I just called my doctor, got the steroids, and I just kept on living. Well, throughout all this, I'm still dealing with pancreatic problems, liver problems. I'm getting this pain in my liver. I'm having a lot of issues. Like I said, the diarrhea. And I'm waking up and vomiting every day as well, which is not good. So, like I said, I'm sorry I keep stopping this, but that fan, I keep calling it a fan. That umbrella keeps wanting to blow over this way, so I was trying to move it. The sun is like shining right here in my face at the moment, so I need that umbrella up right there. But anyway, like I said, I've got the gout, I've got the pain in my liver, the pain in my shoulder that keeps popping up, diarrhea all the time, I'm vomiting all the time, and then the pancreatic problems started to happen. And like I said, it started initially when I would drink really sugary drinks the night before. I would start to get that pain in my pancreas. But then as time went on, well, that went over to when I would drink really, really, really heavy. And I drank heavy every night, but some nights I really went crazy with it. And after those nights, which would normally be when I was off the next day, and when I was off the next day, I would drink to the point when I woke up the next morning, I was dealing with some sort of acute pancreatitis. It wasn't like full-on pancreatitis, but it was pancreatitis of some sort of nature, like a very mild case of it. Now, I did have pretty severe cases of severe cases of acute pancreatitis throughout this period of time too. But I would get these periods of it would last for like a day. I would have a really bad pain in my stomach. I couldn't eat anything. Anything I tried to keep down, tried to drink or eat, I would throw it back up. I couldn't keep anything down. I would be running a mild fever. I would have the chills. I felt like I had gotten sick, but on top of it, I had this pain in my pancreas area and really bad stomach ache, and then I would have this pain in my back. Still wasn't sure or aware of what was going on, and I was too afraid to go tell my doctor what was happening, so I never did. This went on, and then one year we went on a trip up to West Virginia, where my wife is from, and we went to Washington, D.C. We went up to West Virginia for a week, and then we went to D.C. for a week. I had 2 weeks of vacation that I took that year back to back. And the place that I worked at had closed down for that period of time, so I was able to take it off. And we went up to my wife's family's house and we're spending time with them. And the first night that we got there, we drove up there. It was like a 9 or 10 hour drive for us. We got up there, and the first night I drank really, really, really heavy. And the whole time that we were there, I drank really heavy. We were going around visiting with my wife's family, and everywhere I went, I was drinking alcohol and liquor. I wasn't even drinking beer. It was all liquor at this point. After I think it was about 5 days of being up there and just putting it back the whole entire time, I woke up one morning at like 3 a.m. and got up and just threw up all over the place and couldn't stop throwing up. I had this pain in my back that I cannot even describe to you. It felt like I got hit by a Mack truck. That's the only way I can describe it. It hurt so bad, and I could not figure out why, because I hadn't done anything to hurt my back. This time it didn't make any sense. Before, I would always chalk it up to, well, we had, it kind of coincided with times that like we had new restaurant equipment that would come in, and I thought that would hurt my back bringing it into the restaurant. It was always something like that, but this time it didn't make sense. I hadn't done anything to hurt my back. Why is my back hurting so bad? So this went on for a few days, and we were actually supposed to leave that Sunday to go to Washington, D.C., and we couldn't leave. I was way too sick. We ended up having to stay an extra day there until I got better enough to go to D.C. And we left there, and I told my wife after that, I'm gonna stop drinking. I knew for sure that it had something to do with my consumption. So we went to D.C. I didn't drink that whole entire week and was going through withdrawals while we're in D.C., walking around down in D.C., going through the Smithsonian's, all these places. This one day we were at one of the Smithsonian's, and I had to go to the bathroom so bad. My stomach was a wreck during this period of time. I had to go to the bathroom so bad, and I tried to get in there, and this is the middle of summertime. I tried to go to the bathroom on the Smithsonian's, and there was like a line of like 50 people in it, and I couldn't do it. I ended up going to the bathroom on myself while we were in D.C. It's a very long story, but we ended up getting a cab and rushing back to the hotel, but it didn't work out the way it was supposed to, or the way I wanted it to. But either way, so I stopped drinking that week while we were in D.C., dealt with all of that, which was living hell going through that. I have to be completely honest. We got back to town after being there for a week, and I still wasn't drinking. Well, I went on for another week after that of not drinking, and guess what? It started to go away and eventually went completely away. My back stopped hurting, my pancreas stopped hurting, my stomach stopped hurting. Basically all the symptoms went away. I started feeling better. My life started getting better. My relationship with my wife started getting better. Relationship with my kids got better. And I'll never forget this one day, I asked my daughter if she wanted to go to the grocery store with me, and I was sober at this period of time. She said, yeah. So we went to the grocery store together and walked around, and I'll just never forget that because, I'd had this fear of driving for so long, and that started to ease up, and just going to the grocery store that day with her and being able to go do that, it was like I had my freedom back almost again. Was my anxiety completely gone? No, but it was gone enough for me to be able to drive to the grocery store, which is on a 4-lane highway, which frightened me to death to be on during this period of time. And then here I am back out driving around, going places again. I'm not a prisoner to my own home or my job anymore because of my addiction. And what did I do? I went right back to it again. One day I had a bad day and said, I need to have a drink. It's gonna fix everything. And then after that, I don't even remember the next time I got sober again after that. It went on for years after that again. And after that time, the pancreatitis kept coming back. It was like every 3 months or so, I would get a pancreatic attack. And I would have to, I'd have to lay in the bed all day long, and, I would stop drinking whenever that would happen, for a couple days, and then it would go away. I went to work so many days in the middle of pancreatitis, so sick. I could barely even move, and I went to work and just dealt with it. the way I saw it was, I did this to myself, so I'm gonna go I'm gonna go in here and deal with it. And I'd get home and just go lay down in the bed. That's all I could do, was lay down. And if I wasn't at work, I was in the bed laying down. And my back hurt so bad from the pancreatitis. And like I said, I would quit drinking for a few days. It would settle down, calm down, and then I'd tell myself, okay, well, I just hurt my back. That's all that was. It's no big deal. It's nothing. I can have a beer. I'm just going to drink beer. That's it. No liquor, just beer, and just a couple of them on a Friday or Saturday night, and that's it. You know the story. It never worked out. I went right back to drinking at the same amount or more than I did before that, and that went on, like I said, for years. Every 3 months or so, or 6 months, I'd have a pancreatic attack again, and my back would hurt so bad. And then it finally got to the point where I ended up getting sick. And I've spoken about this so many times, but I just woke up one morning. My back was killing me. I felt so bad. And when I woke up, I threw up. And I had thrown up outside, I think. But when I looked down, I saw, it didn't look right. And then I ended up going back in the house. And then when I threw up in the toilet, I looked at it, and it was black. It looked just like coffee grinds. That's the only way I can explain it. It looked like somebody dumped a whole bunch of coffee grinds into the toilet with a 2-liter of Coke, because it had that really dark color to it. And a very, very, very odd smell. I've spoken about this so many times, but I cannot put my finger on what that smelled like. It was like stomach acid mixed with blood, and it wasn't like it was like a sickly sweet smell. It's so odd. I really can't put my finger on. I'll never forget the way that smelled. And if I ever smell it again, I'll know exactly what that is. But like I said, I just can't put my finger on it. It was just a really sickly sweet smell. And the whole room smelled like it. And I spent a few days laying in the bed, and I kept throwing up this black coffee grind stuff. And me being me, I'm like, well, it'll be okay. I'll just give it a couple days. I'll stop drinking, and this is going to go away. Well, it didn't. And then my wife came home and found me laying in the bed covered in freaking throw up everywhere. I mean, it's just everywhere. It was all over me. It was all over the sheets. It was all over the floor. I was completely covered in it. And that's the night that I went to the hospital and found out that's what was going on. But these are the things that I kept dealing with over and over and over again, and just didn't want to do anything about. The bloating that I felt all the time. My face was so swollen and red. My blood pressure was always through the roof when I went to the doctor for anything. They would always tell me I need to go to the emergency room after that, and I wasn't even drinking at the moment. If I had to go to the doctor, I would try my best to abstain from drinking before I went, and I'd go in there, and my blood pressure would be through the roof, and that went on like that for years. I could feel my heart beating in my head. If I bent over or something, I could hear in my ears. My stomach always hurt. Every single day, my stomach hurt. Always on the toilet. I threw up every single day when I woke up. I would throw up to the point where my blood vessels would burst in my eyes. Like it would be like the white would turn blood red because I would burst these blood vessels from throwing up so much in the mornings. I would look at myself in the face and just be like, "What are you doing to yourself, man?" Like I knew what I was doing to myself, but I just kept going, and I wouldn't stop drinking. I could feel my health declining. I knew that something was going wrong, but I always in the back of my mind told myself, I can fix this. I'm going to stop. I can do it. And I'll stop drinking, and I'm going to prove everybody wrong out there. Everybody thinks that I'm an alcoholic, and I'll show them. I'm going to quit, and then I'm going to show up and let them know that I don't drink anymore, and I'm going to teach them. I'm going to show them who I am. Well, that never happened until I finally got so sick I almost lost my life. And guess what? I've been sober for 3 years, and I've never gone and told anybody that I'm sober, that from back in those days that used to think I was a drunk, because I was. There's no point in going and saying anything now. I mean, for what? They were right. I was ridiculous. Everywhere I went, I showed up drunk. I'll never forget this one time I was at a restaurant with my wife. We were at a Mexican restaurant, and one of the girls that used to work for me, she wasn't working for me anymore. She graduated from college and had a job in like physical therapy or something. And like I said, we were sitting in this restaurant, and I looked over to the right, and I saw her sitting there with her boyfriend. And for just some weird reason, I thought that I would get up and just go over there and just like play a prank on her. And I went over and I tapped her on the shoulder, and she turned around and looked at me, and she just kind of froze. I was so drunk, I didn't even know what to even say. I just kind of stood there and just looked, I don't know, like, I didn't even know what to say. I embarrassed myself. I was so wasted. I could barely even stand up, and I'm just standing. I tapped her on the shoulder, and she just turned around and looked at me, and she's like, I guess I had some joke in mind, but then I just kind of froze and just stood there and looked at her while I kind of swayed around, and then I finally just went, I'm sorry. It was good to see you. I just came over here to say hey. And her boyfriend was looking at me like, what are you doing? I just turned around and walked back to the table. My wife was all embarrassed. The restaurant was completely packed. But that's the kind of stuff that I used to do back in the day. And I remember that. I guess I wasn't so drunk that I was totally black out, because I remember that incident, and it was very embarrassing. I just remember standing there, and my mind doesn't work like that either. I mean, I'm pretty quick on my feet when I'm speaking, and I didn't know what to say. I just stood there. I was so drunk. My mind just shut down for a second. But back to, the things that I noticed before, I ended up knowing that I had cirrhosis and pancreatitis. I mean, there were so many issues in my life that were going on during that period of time. I felt horrible every single day. Horrible. I never felt good. I was nauseous every day, all day, basically, and trying to force that stuff down my throat. Every single time that I tried to do it, it would come right back up, and then I'd force it back down again, because I just had to get that in my body. I couldn't handle the shakes anymore, and the feeling, that anxiety that you have when you're going through the withdrawals. Couldn't deal with it. I'd always caved and went right back. But anyway, guys, I think that's about everything that I wanted to touch on today. I didn't really take any notes or anything for today's video. I just decided I've had a lot of stuff going on today. It's almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon right now. It's 4:55. I've had a very full day today, and the idea for today's video just kind of popped up in my mind earlier, and I decided to just go ahead and come out here and talk about this. It's one of those things where I'm very familiar with the things that happen to me, but also, before I get off of here for today, I did want to talk about that live. Don't forget about that. That'll be coming up this Saturday at 2 o'clock. Unless something happens, and if it does, I'll let you guys know. But I'm planning on doing the live at 2 on Saturday. That'll go on for like 2 hours. And other than that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I truly do appreciate it. And like I said earlier in the video, that if you're experiencing these kinds of problems, please go see a doctor. Just don't let it go. Just go ahead and do it. I know it's so scary. I know. But trust me, you want to know what's even scarier? When you end up in that emergency room and they roll you in on the gurney and you have no idea what's about to happen. And you're throwing up blood and you don't even know why. And you're scared and you don't understand what's going on. I was just telling my wife the story the other day about when I first went to the hospital. Well, it's actually the second time I went to the hospital. It's in October of 2022. I went to the hospital. I went to the doctor, and then they sent me over to the emergency room. And while I was on the way to the emergency room, I threw up blood, just a little bit though. Well, then I went to the emergency room, and then I got moved up to the floor, and I was in my room. My wife had just left to go home, and right as my wife left, I mean, minutes after my wife left, the nurse walked into the room. I had just got settled in my room, and the nurse came in. And I said, I don't feel very good. Can you give me something in case I throw up? And she handed me one of those little bags. And before you know it, I just threw up in the bag. 500 cc's of pure red blood I vomited. And what happened, I don't think I've ever discussed this on here, but after I threw up that blood, immediately my heart rate went through the roof. And I don't remember what it was, but it was like over 200, my heart rate. I felt my heart racing, and I told the nurse, I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. I don't know what's going on. It felt like my heart was about to come out of my chest, and it hurt. And I started to panic. I've never felt anything like that before. And the nurse looked, and my pulse was through the roof. My blood pressure had plummeted. So I had very low blood pressure and a very high heart rate. And all of a sudden, before I knew it, I was being wheeled into the ICU. And when I went into that ICU, there were about 10 Filipino nurses that cut my clothes off of me, stripped me down, scrubbed me down from head to toe. They like sterilized my whole entire body, put a gown on me, wrapped my legs with those like boot things to keep you from getting blood clots in your legs. They like did this whole thing on me and got me all set up in the room. And then the next morning I woke up and there was a doctor standing beside me with a couple of his interns, whatever they're called, I can't remember, but they were standing right there with him, and he said, "We're going to have to place a PICC line in your chest today, and these guys are going to watch, and they're in training right now, and is that okay with you if they're hearing?" I mean, I was just like, whatever. And they draped over this thing over my face and all over my entire body, and it had like a little hole right here in my chest, and they I don't know how they did it, but they went through my chest, and I think it goes in to somewhere near your heart or something, but they placed these tubes in my chest, like through my chest. They had to do that because they had to administer this medication to bring my blood pressure up. Because I was bleeding internally, I'd bled so much that my heart rate went through the roof and my blood pressure plummeted. The science behind all that, or the biology behind it, I can't explain all that, but that's what happened, and it was very, very, very scary. I'm laying there thinking, my wife just left and this is about to happen. Like, I'm about to go right now. That's the way it felt. And that's when they rolled me to the back, and I just laid there, like, with this peace while all this stuff's going on. These people are running around all around me, and I didn't even care. I just laid there, like, whatever. I kind of had this feeling like it was about to happen, and I wasn't afraid. But either way, like I said, live's gonna be on Saturday, and I think that's about it, guys. I'm sorry, I'm kind of scatterbrained today, but thank you so much for watching, guys. And until tomorrow, I will see y'all then. Don't forget about the Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description. Thank you so much to each and every single one of you all that have donated to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. I'm gonna throw the link in right here at the bottom for you guys. Link is also in the description as well. Like I said, you can just click right on and take you straight to the page. But other than that, guys, I think that's about it. Like I said, if you're having any of these problems, please go speak with a doctor. Don't let it go like I did, because I did. I let it go entirely too long, and hindsight's 2020. If I could take it back, I would have gone to the doctor a long, long time ago, and I might not be in the position I'm in right now. But like I said, guys, my doctor appointment got moved from tomorrow to Friday at 3 p.m. So I'll make a video on Friday after that appointment and let you guys know what the deal is with that. But normal video tomorrow on Thursday. That'll be posted up tomorrow night. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate you guys all being here. A lot of new people here, and I truly appreciate all of you subscribing. I really do. So with that said, guys, I'll see each and every single one of you in tomorrow's video. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day and a great night. And until tomorrow, I will see y'all then. Love y'all so much.